Hey friend, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and you are on my homestead here in Wyoming. Today we have quite a few projects ahead of us. As you can see, we have a ton of strawberries. So here in Wyoming and across a good amount of states, there is it's called the fruit truck, and they do seasonal deliveries from across the country. So these strawberries came from Florida, and they were available yesterday. So basically what happens is each state gets different cities, and those different cities get different time slots. And at that time, a semi truck literally pulls up full of fruit, and you are able to get in line and grab your fruit. That truck will only have one fruit. So this is strawberries that they brought home from Florida, and then they'll go deliver to, let's say, Casper for 30 minutes, then they'll move on to the next city and they'll work through the state over a couple of days. This is how I get a lot of my seasonal produce. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the cheapest, but it is so delicious. So this whole thing was $30, and this is a ton of fruit. It's crazy heavy. Each of these baskets is this large, and we got 12 of them. So we have a lot of strawberries to process today. Now, before we start processing our strawberries, I want to get going on dinner. So I need my meat to marinate for just a little while. So while that marinades, we are going to cruise through our strawberry preservation. So for dinner tonight, we are going to do chipotle steak wraps. And so we're going to get those made up. And then in terms of strawberry preservation, we are going to do strawberry popsicles. I obviously am going to make an angel food cake so we can top it with cut up strawberries and some whipped cream that we have in the refrigerator. I can't have fresh strawberries and not make angel food cake. I know a lot of people think strawberry shortcake. I think strawberry angel food cake. That also uses 12 eggs, so if you have a ton of eggs, that is the perfect way to get rid of some of the egg whites. Then we're going to make strawberry butter. We are going to make chocolate strawberries, like a frozen version, kind of like those True Fruit chocolate dip strawberries that are really good but really expensive. We're gonna make a homemade version. And then we are going to chop up and freeze the rest for smoothies, compotes, you name it, whatever we want throughout the year. I do already have a lot of strawberry rhubarb jam that we made last year that we're still eating through, so I don't need any more jam. So we're gonna get a little bit creative with our preservation methods. So I'm gonna get these strawberries out of the way. We are going to get our dinner going first so we can let that meat marinate. Then we will jump over to our strawberry preservation, and then we'll get dinner made after that is done. All right, so for our marinade, we are going to start with 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We're just gonna eyeball this. We'll say maybe a little more. Perfect, that looks good. And I need about 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I love this sauce, so I always go a little heavy-handed on it. Probably did too. Then I have a can of chipotles in adobo. And I am going to take a little over a tablespoon of just the sauce and the onions. I'm leaving the peppers in there. Then I just need some honey. Mine is all crystallized, so we have to get a little creative with getting the honey out. It's still perfectly fine, just a little harder to work with. And you can definitely heat your honey up and that will return it back, but I'm all good. I can deal with this, no problem. Okay, we're not wasting any of that yummy honey. Just a little bit of salt, some pepper. We really like pepper, so we'll do a good amount of that. I'm gonna stir this around, get that honey incorporated. So there's our marinade. Now I have some moose meat here. We're gonna thinly slice this up, and then we'll add it into our marinade. I will say this moose that we got is so good. We've absolutely been loving it. Still a little bit frozen, and that will make my job of slicing it a heck of a lot easier. So break it apart. Okay, this is a perfect representation of the grain in case you've not understood what I'm saying when I say slice against it. See how the grain is running this way? We're gonna slice it this way, and that's gonna give us those really, really tender bites. So I'm just going to slice it thin, but not crazy thin. This is a very, very tender piece of meat, so it shouldn't be an issue. All right, there is our meat. Let me get this out of the way, wash my hands, and then we'll get that mixed up. All right. I'm just going to kind of mix this around, and we just want to coat the meat. And you can definitely double this recipe. I might need to. I think I am going to add a bit more. All right, we're just going to basically do the same thing again. All right, in terms of marinade, this is looking much better. So because some of those pieces were frozen, I'm just going to let this sit for as long as we need until our strawberries are processed. Obviously, if it takes too long and the meat is defrosted, I will throw this in the fridge, but I'm just gonna let this sit and absorb some of that yummy, yummy flavor. First things we need to do is wash all of these strawberries. I will probably leave a container or two not washed, and those will go, well, I might wash them all. I'm gonna definitely save these. These are plastic. They think these will be really nice for gardening season. So traditionally when I get things from the grocery store, I will soak them in baking soda and vinegar. But because these are fresh, I'm not super worried about them. So I'm just going to wash all of my strawberries. And then I'm going to just lay them out on my dark colored towels to dry a little bit. All right, friends, here's our strawberry haul. I've got to say, it is so funny. When I was purchasing these, I wasn't sure I was getting enough, and I felt like $30 was expensive for strawberries, but I figured it was worth it. And now that I'm looking at all of them, goodness, we have a lot of strawberries. I don't think we'll have any shortage. If I was canning or something, this actually wouldn't be that many, but because I'm not, this is a good amount of strawberries. So the first thing I am going to make is popsicles. And this really couldn't be any more simple. All I really need is about a pound of strawberries. So I'm just going to, and I'm not super worried about getting, I'm okay leaving a little bit of the strawberry left because these are all gonna go to my chickens. So nothing is going to go to the waste. So I am going to just slice up about a pound or so of strawberries. Now, these will make really good popsicles, but if we have extra, I can also freeze them in containers and then mix it and make lemonade, strawberry lemonade out of it as well. We could add a little extra lemon juice. So my first batch, I'm going to just make popsicles, and then I think we might do strawberry lemonade mix out of the other. Now there is a ball canning recipe for strawberry lemonade. I don't have that much lemon juice though. I really wasn't planning on making that at all. It was just kind of a last minute decision. So we'll see, but if you're looking for other ways to use up strawberries, I know that the ball canning book also has strawberry lemonade canning recipe, which would be very good. Okay. Now to this blender, we need a tablespoon of lemon juice and remember we're going for popsicles right now, a tablespoon of lemon juice and a half a cup of sugar. Strawberries are incredibly sweet, so I'm gonna start with 1/4 cup of sugar. Whoa. A little over 1/4 cup of sugar. And then I'm just gonna eyeball a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm gonna go blend this and then we'll see how it's looking. And if you don't have a blender, a food processor will work perfectly as well. I'm just gonna pulse it. All right, and I am gonna grab a spoon and just give it a quick try. Tastes just like a popsicle. I'm really glad I didn't do any more sugar. It's not too sweet by any means, but it's definitely sweet. Okay, let's get this in our molds. Okay, so all I did was just top these off. Now I'm gonna put the popsicle top on. And these just click in, they're a little bit hard. And what's great about this popsicle mold is it is dishwasher safe. These are hard to get on though, I will say. No kid's gonna be making these popsicles. Goodness. My lids are snapped on. Here is my popsicles. I'm gonna get these in the freezer and our first recipe is done. All right, while I'm at it and I already have the blender dirty, I decided I'm just gonna make some strawberry lemonade. So I am going to just use a 1/2 gallon size jar that I have. I'm gonna make a 1/2 gallon. So for that, I need, again, 1 pound of strawberries. And this is gonna be a very similar recipe, but we're gonna blend this obviously a lot better. This will have some pulp in it from the strawberries. If you don't want that, then we can also go through a sieve, or strain it out, but we'll see. And these strawberries are beautiful. The fact that I have 30, I don't know how many pounds. I think they said this was 8, but I think this is a lot more than 8 pounds. And I only found 3 moldy strawberries in that entire container. It's crazy. That's really great quality. This would also be really good in the summer. I might, if you had some fresh garden mint and like a sparkling water and just made kind of like a spritzer type thing, this would be really, really good. Should I double this recipe and then I can freeze one? How good would that be? You could add any kind of alcohol that you like. If you like drinking, I probably would honestly just keep it with sparkling water, some mint, and then this lemon strawberry mixture. All right, I've convinced myself I'm gonna double this recipe. That looks pretty good to me. I would normally, 1.5 cups of sugar is what it calls for. I'm not gonna do that. I think I'm gonna try 3/4 of a cup. Well, but we're doubling this. We'll do 1 cup. Clearly very precise measurements I'm doing here. All right, there's our sugar. And then lemon juice, we need probably this entire bottle. 1, 3. Okay, we're gonna blend this and I want it to be very, very smooth. All right, so I have my water here and I'm just gonna pour in some of this. I decided to not do a full 1/2 gallon because I don't know that we'll get through that much. It's just 2 of us. All right, let's give this a stir. Taste test. That is phenomenal. I could chug this. That with just like sparkling water would be the perfect summer treat. I did mine kind of watered down. I don't love things super sweet. I like to stay away from super sweet, honestly. So mine is clearly very watered down, but if you had kids or you wanted the sweeter, just add the full amount of sugar and add in all of the mixture. That is phenomenal. Okay, Sam is gonna be very excited to try this when he gets home. But what I'm gonna do is I have a couple of jars, just made a mess there, and I'm just going to put some of this in. And you can see how smooth I blended this one. That's exactly how I wanted it. I wanted my popsicles to be a little chunkier. Probably go a little further. Then I'm just gonna put lids on these and put this in the freezer. Then throughout the summer when we want a nice little spritzer or a treat, We have these in the freezer already ready to go. I'll just need to pull them out, defrost them. Honestly, this would probably be a really good slushie too. Boy, the world is our oyster. Okay, I just grabbed a paper towel because we want this process to be pretty dry. So I'm just going to make sure my board stays dry. And then I went through and like double dried these strawberries because we are going to make our strawberry butter. And if you've never heard of strawberry butter, it is exactly what it sounds like. This is really, really yummy on pancakes, French toast, Dutch babies, regular toast, really anything. It's just a sweet butter that has that strawberry flavor, and I absolutely love it. This is pretty common at some like fancy breakfast restaurants, and it's just one way to kind of elevate your cooking in order to be a little bit different. So all I'm doing is just cutting up strawberries. I'm making a double batch. You'd want about 8 strawberries per batch on average. And this does freeze really nicely. So what I'm gonna do is keep one container out, and then I'm gonna freeze the rest of them. You can freeze butter so easily. So I'm going to just put it in little containers and freeze it, and then all you have to do is the night before or the morning of, if you're making a nice breakfast, you just need to pull out your butter, let it come up to room temperature, and it's perfect to use. So I'm going to get these strawberries all cut up, and then we're gonna grab our food processor. I feel like I'm using all of my kitchen gadgets today. And honestly, all of these things could have been done in the food processor. I just find a blender so much easier to clean because all I do is just put some soapy water in the blender and blend it, and it cleans itself. So I just decided that I would rather make one in the blender and the other, because they're so different, in the KitchenAid, which I guess we got 2 recipes out of the blender, so it was a little more worth it. Okay. So for this butter, we need a 1/4 cup of honey, although I'm doubling this, so I need 1/2 cup of honey. We'll see how much we actually have. Let me give this a good shake. Okay, I pretty much just crawled into that container. That was very messy. But now I'm going to add in my butter. This is Kerrygold butter. I think I'm gonna slice that up just a little. All right. Throw the top on, and I'm going to blend this until it's just kind of whipped together. Perfect. Now we're going to throw in our strawberries, and we want to just pulse. So the strawberries were cold, obviously, which made the butter cold. So it is a little bit stiff, the butter is, but I want to see how this tastes. That is crazy, crazy good. I mean, what can't be bad about that? It's literally strawberries and butter. But that on a pancake, oh. Okay, wow. Sam's gonna be so excited. So, what I'm gonna do is just fill some of these containers that I have. I might need a smaller spatula, maybe a spoon. And like I said, I'm gonna leave one out in the refrigerator. I think I'm gonna make a Dutch baby later in the week, so we can use this. This is bagels, toast, phenomenal on pretty much anything, I would guess. That is really, really good. Okay. I'm just gonna fill up as many of these containers as I need. Look at that, it literally is like butter and jam in one. And then move on to the next recipe. All right, friend. So I have all of my strawberries prepped. Some of them I went ahead and just cut in half. These are the ones we're gonna dip in chocolate and then we're gonna freeze them. And the reason I wanted those in half is because I thought biting into an entire strawberry would be kind of hard on our teeth. It might not be the most pleasant experience, so I thought it would be better if we cut them in half. That way you just get to pop like a half a frozen strawberry and some chocolate in your mouth. So I am just going to, there's way too much chocolate. I'm going to microwave this chocolate, get it nice and melted. That's the easiest way I find. Just stir it every 30 seconds or so. So I am just going to dip these strawberry halves in chocolate. And then these are going to live in the freezer. And then I love just, I think it's called True Fruit. I think I've had them before. It's literally just chocolate covered frozen fruit. You can do it bananas, raspberries, strawberries, but this makes for a really easy dessert. So if you want dessert one night and you didn't make anything, it's so simple. And who doesn't love chocolate covered strawberries? My favorite is dark chocolate, but we just are using semi-sweet today. I'm gonna finish this process and I think I'm gonna need a couple of plates. I should have put these a little closer together. And then we will get going on our angel food cake, and while that bakes, we'll make dinner. I wanted that to be nice and warm coming out of the oven tonight so we can have that for a yummy dessert. All right, friends, it is time to get going on our angel food cake. First thing we need to do is preheat the oven to 375 degrees. And if you've ever made angel food cake before, you know it is very finicky. So here's what we're going to do. First thing we need is to combine our dry ingredients, and we are going to sift this a few times. So I need 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of cake flour. And I think I'm just going to pour it. And I like this Swan's Down cake flour. I find it works really well. Okay, there's 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon. Okay. And then I need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to sift that in. And then for any of these flour clumps, which is exactly why we're sifting it, I'm going to just push that through. Then we do want to make sure everything is incorporated. So I'm just going to stir this. And we're going to repeat that process 3 more times. There's 1. Then I'm just going to take a damp rag, not wet, and just wipe out that flour. And now we need 13 egg whites that are all room temperature. Okay, so this is a little bit of a slow process. What I'm going to do is just go back, and forth. It's not ideal, but if that happens, you can literally just reach in and grab your yolk. And I honestly find that easiest because I have such fresh eggs. And I just like to let it run through my hand. And make sure you're checking your hands if you get any yolk on them, you need to wash. And the reason we do this with room temperature eggs and not cold eggs is because it allows it to become a lot more light and fluffy. It also incorporates a lot easier. So it's important that these are, in fact, room temperature eggs. All right, there's my egg whites. We're gonna just whip these. After these start to foam, which will be like a minute to 2 minutes, then I'm gonna add in my vanilla and some cream of tartar. All right, we're looking a little foamy, so let's add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, let me do the dry first. We need 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar. I'm just gonna use my 1/2 teaspoon. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. We're gonna let this continue whipping. And now that it's even more frothy, I'm gonna add in 3/4 cups of sugar while it continues to mix. All right, we are pretty much there. See how when I pull this out, we're creating peaks. That's exactly what you want. Mine are a little more peaky than you want. You want a soft peak. This is a stiff because you can tell it doesn't fall back down, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. Next, we are going to get this out of the way. Perfect. And then we are going to incorporate our dry ingredients in 1/4. So I want about 1/4 of my dry ingredients. Sift that in. And then you're going to want to fold it in very gently. We're trying to keep everything light and fluffy. Now, angel food cake, if you've never made it before, you have to have this certain pan. And whatever you do not want to grease it. The whole point of angel food cake is that it does slightly stick to the pan. If you have an angel food cake pan also, you cannot use it for anything other than angel food cake. Okay, I think we're in a pretty good spot. So here is our handy dandy pan. I am just going to distribute our filling, and you want to try and keep it off the sides as much as possible. Then I'm going to take my spatula and just kind of smooth it out. All right, then you're going to just grab a paper towel because this is kind of messy. And anywhere you got it on the sides that you don't want it, just get that off. Perfect. And you're gonna run a knife through your batter, and this is just similar to canning. We're trying to release any large air bubbles. I'm gonna put this in the oven, 375 degrees for like 20 to 25 minutes, and while that's baking, we're gonna get dinner going. And one thing I do want to mention is for freezing strawberries, I like to just put them on a tray like this. I'm going to flash freeze them. This way it doesn't make like a huge block, you know, those blocks of fruit that you can't get anything out. This will make it really easy, so you can just put it in a gallon bag and pull out however much you need at that time. So these are just going to go into the freezer. They'll flash freeze. As soon as they're done, I'll just put them in a gallon Ziploc bag and put them back in the freezer. All right, friend, so kitchen is reset. Let's get going on our dinner. So we are going to have chipotle steak wraps with lettuce, tomato, steaks, and then a chipotle sauce. That is just a little bit of sour cream, mostly because I need to get it out of the pantry. Then I am going to add a little bit more sauce from these chilies and adobo, just adding in the onions and the sauce, and then a little bit of ranch powder. Let's start with that. We can always add more. Give that a good mix. And this is going to be the sauce for our wraps. It's a little light in color, so I think it might need a little more adobo sauce. Grab a spoon. Ooh, that is really good. That's kind of spicy. As I add more, I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more of the sauce, just because I think it is so dang good. And just a tiny bit more ranch powder. That should be good. Okay. That is perfect. Let's get going on our meat and our tortillas. All right, my cast iron is nice and hot, so I'm going to just add down our meat. Well, it's not as hot as I thought it was. Let me wait just a minute, let that heat up just a little bit more. While we wait for those, I'm just going to get some of these ready to cook tortillas on. So all you do is just basically cook them in the pan. They're done in like a minute. They're so easy. All right, now our meat's sizzling, so let's get that all added on. All right, while those cook behind me, I'm gonna get everything else prepped. So in here I just have lettuce and tomato. And then I need to shred some cheese. Put that off to the side. And then I like to just lay down a towel. Throw my produce in on that. And then get that the rest of the way dry. Much better. I'm just going to roughly slice this. That, and then I have some tomatoes in here as well. We'll dry those off and slice them up too. I think I'm gonna do fourths just so they're nice and bite-sized. And while I was slicing that, I could smell my cake is done. So I'm gonna pull this out and we're gonna let this just cool on a cooling rack. The weird part about angel food cake is you cool it upside down. All right, friends, so that is it for today. We got our strawberries preserved 5-6 different ways. So we are done with that. I did want to show, this is my favorite way to store fresh strawberries. I like to just put it in a container with a paper towel on the bottom. I'll put a paper towel on top as well. And I find those store the best that way. So I am going to go enjoy this dinner. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't. And we will catch you all in the next one. Thanks for being here. Bye, friend.